Welcome, outstanding high school ELA teachers. I hope this presentation finds you well. My name is Franzi, and I will be your guide during this PowerPoint presentation to suggest ways that you could prepare hybrid lesson plans for the partial reopening of TUSD schools. Let's start with what your schedule might look like and when and how you will see your students in a synchronous with you setting versus when they will be expected to work for your class asynchronously on their own without you. Please note that some site schedules may vary depending on the needs of the site and number of periods in a day. For purposes of this discussion, we will assume a 6-period day. The first thing to note in this chart are the different colors, blue and pink, which designate in-person synchronous instruction or remote synchronous instruction, respectively. As you can see from the chart, you meet with students every period, every day. However, because not all of your students will attend each of these periods synchronously every day, it will take you 2 days to synchronously meet with all of your students. For example, on Monday morning, you meet with your first, second, and third period students who have opted for in-person instruction. While on Tuesday afternoon, you will meet with the remainder of these first, second, and third period students who have opted for full-time remote instruction. Therefore, it takes 2 days before you synchronously meet with all of your students from a given class period. One other general thing to note while we look at this chart. Students who are following the periods colored blue, who are opting to attend school in person, will be expected to work on the classes they don't see in the morning each afternoon asynchronously. Similarly, students who are following the periods colored in pink, those who are opting to attend school remote only, will be expected to work on the classes they won't see in the afternoons each morning asynchronously. Finally, you will have synchronous contact with each group of students 3 days a week. This is similar to a block schedule, and I would encourage you to plan your classes the same way you would for a block schedule. Now let's look at the sample weekly lesson template that was created by the curriculum department to help you visualize what type of planning may occur on a weekly basis for these various student groups. The sample hybrid template is broken into 3 main sections: a summary section, the synchronous teaching section, and the asynchronous section. The summary section includes standards, objectives, support materials, which are things you may need to create or acquire in order to be ready to deliver a successful lesson, and the formative assessment. The synchronous teaching section, which is broken into 2 parts. Part 1 is what I call the half and half days, and part 2 is called Wednesdays. The half teaching in person and half teaching remote days are shown here. And the 1 day where you meet with all your students, Wednesdays, will be shown in the next slide. In this first part, for the half and half days, you see a color-coded schedule, yellow and green. Yellow for Monday, Tuesday, and green for Thursday, Friday. On the left side of each section, you have space to list the objectives for that particular lesson. In the associated blank white space, you can write the general parts of your lesson. For example, bell work, the anticipatory set, direct instruction, whole group and independent practice pieces, and the closure activity. Also on this template, we've added the 4 distinct groups of students that you synchronously teach over a 2-day period, and we labeled them with the day of the week and AM or PM. Personally, I found this helpful as I was trying to get my brain wrapped around this type of schedule so that I could easily remember which group of students I was working with during any given period. The second part of the synchronous teaching section is devoted to Wednesday. I like to think of this day as teacher's choice. This is the only day of the week that you see all of your students synchronously for each period. There is also a space here to write the day's objective. In this section, you'll notice there are a variety of suggestions for how you structure your lesson on this day. Perhaps you use this time to do a whole class synchronous activity to continue the new learning for the week. Or perhaps you use this time for community building activities. Or perhaps you use this time for whole class assessments or test prep or review activities. Since the class periods on this day are shorter, you'll need to focus on what is best based on the culture of your class and the needs of your particular students. The final section in this weekly template is devoted to the asynchronous learning activities. I like to think of this section as the student's choice. We've organized this as a learning board, which can be utilized to support a flipped classroom model with preparatory activities that students complete prior to attending their synchronous class period taught by you. Or these activities can be used as either a reteach, review, or as an extension of the in-class synchronous learning they completed with you earlier in the week. You'll need to set clear expectations for what your students should be working on during those days as they don't meet synchronously with you. This template learning board has 5 sections. Videos to support this week's lessons. Again, these could be used as reteach, or you could require students to take notes on these prior to attending your synchronous class period. The independent practice using platform apps. These activities provide students with the opportunity to practice the concepts they learned this week. Ideally, these activities would provide feedback to students so that they immediately know if they are doing the ELA skills correctly or if they need to review these skills further. Activities, projects, and extensions. This section could be utilized to allow multiple response types and to encourage different points of view and allow students to view content through their own cultural lens. In the other sources for independent practice, this section will differ from the platform apps. Additional sources can be found in the TUSD curriculum maps, sources such as Newsela, Common Lit, PBS, and many other ADE-approved programs. The self-check formative assessment section could be utilized to provide data based on pre-post formative assessments, summative assessments, or student self-assessment. Assessments can vary week to week depending on pace, time, and needed data to guide instruction. Now let's look at a sample ELA lesson plan that I created for high school using this template. While we did not know exactly when we would re-enter school buildings, the Curriculum and Instruction Department realized it might be during Q2. So I chose 3 standards to inform my instruction from Q2. They are the highly leveraged standards RL1, RL2, and RL6. Following the Q2 scope and sequence and curriculum map for ELA High School, grades 9 and 10, this sample lesson has students begin by using resources they are familiar with: IXL, journaling, poetry, and a short story or chosen book. First, students begin practicing with bell work in IXL, then journaling as the anticipatory set to get them thinking about meaning, then annotating a poem for claims and evidence and central idea. The thematic content focuses on immigration and courage. The instructor introduces skills and models this for them, then guides students' practice. Then students work independently through writing and analysis. They will revise their writing using a supplied rubric from the instructor. For check for understanding, they will complete an exit ticket or another closing activity that shows what they do and do not understand. This lesson focuses the whole class on whatever needs to happen, including practicing the skills aligned to the standards. In the white section, you notice there are a variety of choices: activity to continue learning, community building, sentence stems for Socratic seminars, or just direct instruction. This is a short day, so the teacher will need to focus on what is best based for the culture of the class. These are only suggestions. Below this are the resources linked for easy access. Finally, the last section focuses on what students could study and/or practice on their own asynchronously. These are choices for the week. The videos cover skills linked to the standards, such as making claims, evidence, central idea, and author's point of view. In the other sections, you will find appropriate activities that help deepen and extend students' understanding and practice of this week's skills and standards. These are suggestions. There are many ways to assign asynchronous work. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please do not hesitate to contact me with questions. I have included my email address on this slide. Office hours are now being held twice a week with curriculum instruction and TS on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 2:30 to 5 p.m. I've included the Zoom link. Finally, in Clever, there is a hot pink button where you can find contacts for the various applications. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with you.